Probably on her stand rather than here. Nora, all yours.
Yeah. Oh, my presenter. Okay. So, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Very warm welcome. And yeah, as Charles mentioned, um, the journey to zero carbon emissions in our sector has been started by performance days in April 22. Now we're 1 year later, and yeah, where are we? Um, I have to admit that when I got the description for the exhibitors and what they are expected to send in to provide as inspiration for the Trend Forum, I thought I want to talk about this because there's a lot of things going on in our industry, but it seems still that we didn't understand that we have to push our efforts, that we really have to, we are in a race against the clock, and we have to, not only our industry, all our industries, and of course in our private life, zero carbon emissions are not possible at the moment, and we have to bring them down nevertheless. So all our efforts go to this. And yeah, here we are. And we all discuss, and I can tell you that there is more discussions going on. As yesterday, I had a lot of discussions and exchange with people about what to do, and still it's not clear what we should do, what we have to do. It's really stunning because after 10 years of talking about this topic, sustainability, just 15 minutes ago, somebody told me, yeah, we are talking now for 3 years about sustainability. I think that is a really, yeah, we talk much longer about this topic, and we know it, and we don't like the word. So I would also love to keep it out of my wording, but on the other side, it's necessary. So where do we stand? We are here. We see a lot of things happening in our industry. On the other hand side, this picture from Qantas about measuring fashion, which gives you the number of percentage, the 6.7% of the global carbon emission comes from our industry. And the main thing is always the making of, putting the fibers up, to weave, to finish. So, and this hasn't become better. The numbers are from 2018, but in the meantime, nothing has really improved. And this is where we're standing. And we are still wasting time with repairing and mending about a failing system, because we see what we are doing or what our doing has caused to the in the environment, and also to us people. We have people dying because they have to breathe polluted air and things like that. So we are really in a situation where we should see that this system can't continue. We have to imagine new things, new ways of producing. And we do a lot, as said before. In sports especially, I think we do really already a lot. But these are all single spots, single topics. There is a big picture, a leitmotif, which is missing. Where do we see our industry in 10 years? What is the big picture for an industry? And this is really, I know it's hard, but there are ways of thinking different. And one thing about the digitales, as you can recognize already in this wording, I'm talking about tales, fairy tales of a wonderful world made possible by digitalization. Of course, it can help us a lot. It's a wonderful tool, a great tool. But one thing, is life really binary? Is it 1 and 0 only? somehow I think the impression is more life is messy. Our industry is messy, our business is messy. And some facts about digitalization. There's a massive land use for setting up, for constructing server farms, which is a big, big negative impact on the environment. We have to protect soil. Soil is a scarce source. And I can tell you this because my husband is fighting for keeping the soil, because we need soil for planting food and other things, important things, and to invest in big, big server farms, which use plenty of soil for their construction, is not really sustainable. And then we have about 12% of the global energy at the moment is necessary for all digital devices, infrastructures, and so on. And this is a factor which is growing exponentially because we are using more and more digital devices. We have more and more digital infrastructure. Then the self-driving car will come, and there's a lot in the pipeline for the next years to come. And there are predictions that within the next 200 or 300 years, we will use all energy we produce, or we are able to produce, only for digital infrastructure and devices. So, yeah, just to give you a dimension. So, digitalization is great, is a great tool, but we have also to weigh in and see what is really necessary. What do we need? So, the question is really, where do we want to go to? Where want we as an industry to go to? And there's really more than to discuss about a new dyeing tool to save water or energy. It's really about the mindset. This is most important. We recognize that everything, all our wealth, all our growth, and all our comfort comes at a price. We have now destroyed, and see what happens if we overuse and exploit, and now we have to give back. And so, I'm really convinced that there are lots of possibilities we don't even think about at the moment. We are not able to recognize that there are chances. Yeah? But because we are just connected to what we have done before and what we appreciate, and we are used to that, and we don't like to move ourselves to a point where somehow we need more effort. So we have to reimagine. We are an industry which claims every day that we are innovative, that we are creative. Let's really rise up to the pressure and the urgency of the topic of being more responsible and really take care of our resources, which might come to an end. And think about this. I was just last week attending a conference about bioengineering and topics like these. And to make clear, we are part of nature. Look in the human body, shows cells, microbes, bacteria. We are nature. We were made of the same stuff as our environment. We are not 1 and 0. We are nature. And as part of nature, we depend on nature. And so to destroy nature hurts ourselves, hurts our bodies, and also, of course, our business. Just last winter showed perfectly well that we cannot sell ski gear if there is no snow. And the predictions for this are that the Alps, over the next 10 years, will see less and less snow. So what to do? What are we waiting for? And I think, like this platform here shows what everybody is bringing to the table. There are so many good ideas, good tools, and already advances in the matter, but it's not enough. And I'm really I want to talk no longer about blah, blah. I really want to see us take action and drive change. We should be the front runners. Sports is our business, and sports is connected deeply to nature. And we have all experienced that we need nature as a counterpart to everyday life at a place where we can relax. We need nature to be mentally and physically healthy. So, like our German chancellor said, Zeitenwende, which makes its way now to English too. So a system change from anthropocentric to ecocentric. It's not us. We are not in the middle of the whole world, and we are not on top, and we are not better than our environment. We are what is nature has evolved over the existence of nature and of also mankind. Maybe nature is not, has not the same intelligence as us, but it's also there are intelligent things, and we learn from nature every day how to develop further and how to develop new technologies. And so what I mentioned already yesterday, to make things just because we are able to do it is not the best reason to do something. Like my favorite example always, watercolors. Yeah, just to increase it from once it has been 30 years ago, 1,000 millimeter watercolor to today's maybe 45,000 millimeter. It's nice that we can show what we are able to do, but is it really necessary? And this especially, is it necessary for the guys who go only to the pedestrian area and stroll around, and what they even don't do nowadays due to online shopping and things like that. So it's really about doing things appropriate, in an appropriate way. And what we do is only perpetuating the existing, making difference, finding an app which can work with that, a tool with that equipment, things like this. That's nice. It's nice to have. But we should be able to see that it's not the most important thing. And this is just, I felt really bored by what was in my inbox over the last 4 months. And these are seriously taken from different brands and what they give us. So we do with a lot of effort, with a lot of energy, with a lot of resources. We produce things. And then this is the result, because we can't get rid of it, because we can't sell it. Yeah? Is this really a reason for doing things in a, I would say, in a really questionable way? And also one of my favorites, I'm really wondering, really personally also, because I like to go to the outdoors, whether for skiing or for hiking and so on. Is it really necessary that this jacket looks the same? Is there a reason why this is the best way of doing an outdoor jacket? Why? I would love, for example, I'm not the small and slim fit lady. I would love to have it a little bit more loose shape, maybe also sometimes a little bit more, I would say, with a desire factor, I call it. Because last week, I was in a big sports shop, and I went in and looked over the masses of garments and thought, desire factor, was just what came to my mind. Desire factor is 0. 0. I don't want to have anything of these. Though there is maybe a little bit more color in, but the shaping, the look, the feel, it's all the same. And that for years. So if we have found the perfect way of doing this jacket, these kind of jackets, let's keep it. And when it's not necessary to do every season, produce new tons of these garments and fill the planet with stuff which is then thrown away with 50% discount, and then if you even can't sell it then, when it's shredded or burned. It's not economically wise, I would say. So, and furthermore, just one back, if you look at the garments here, or if at all the swatches here, the samples, can you really transmit the message that you have achieved new super fabric, new super properties, or completely different, and now a sustainable property, and this is all in this jacket? Is it signalized anywhere? Can you recognize it as the end consumer? The end consumer is not interested usually in all the details of how we produce the new fabric or what it's able to do. He wants a functional working jacket, that's it. And if I read through the descriptions, and already yesterday I had some discussions with people, they always say, the end consumer, he has to understand that it's complicated, and if we tell them this and that, and the hang tag is getting longer and longer, and it's a kilometer long, then what is the sense of that? Nobody is reading this, nobody is understanding it. Even we have problems in understanding and verifying. Is this really possible, what is promised in the description? Is it really working? Yeah, all these questions. So this is not the way. You shouldn't complicate people's life more and more. It's about keeping it simple and finding a way of communicating with people in a transparent and comparable way. Of course, we want to be compared. We are still in a competitive system, and so it's necessary to compare, and we want to know, maybe now it's getting better, but as a consumer. But on the other hand side, I would recommend at the moment that we really find a way of bringing a message of what we do in terms of carbon emission, that we have, what we have achieved. Is it possible so that I know, for example, okay, this jacket from this brand has a factor of CO2 emissions, or the percentage of CO2 emissions is maybe 50. I'm just talking. And the other jacket has a lower carbon CO2 emission number. We have to find a way not to confuse people, but to make clear. And the most important thing that we have to do at the moment is really the CO2 emissions, bringing them down. This is the most important thing. So I would say we have also to prioritize and not do somebody here, this, that, it's all good. But at the moment, we all have to aim at bringing down the CO2 emissions. And of course, what's also important with water consumption, it's very unusual to be in the morning in my bathroom and to listen to the radio. And every morning this week, there's talking about water management in Germany and some new regulations which are planned. We are a country rich with water, or we used to be. But now the first problems appear and pop up, and it's not easy to understand this because it's new for us. It's rather unusual that we have to think about to manage our water. And this is true for many other countries, of course, around the world. They have much bigger problems than we have. So the topics of the future, of the next years, are bioengineering. There's a lot of things going on, you know, about bio-based fabrics, about bio-based new fibers, but also in other parts of industries. Bioengineering is a very hot topic for the next years. Circularity, of course, we have to adapt this as a lifestyle. Renewable energy, of course, water management, as said, and then I call it togetherness. Can also say social cohesion, but it's about really togetherness. I prefer this because where you really understand that you are meant, I'm meant, we all together have to work and to find solutions. And just to bring up something like about biodesign, lab-based, bio-based, fabric developments, microbial dyes, all these things which are in the pipeline over the next 10 years, we will see a lot of things changing. This will influence our way of working, our workflow, and we will see new design practices and new manufacturing processes. And it's really relevant to start now, because these things take time, and we have to take the time to think about how this will influence our working, so that we don't lose another 10 years or so in waiting till the right technology for the single brand pops up and is ready for using it from next day on. But we have to invest in these developments. I know a lot of companies already do a lot, but once again, this is where we have to aim at. And I'm working a lot with young designers, with upcoming designers, with students. And for example, last year we had Bea in our workshop, and she was in our master class, and she was introducing us to her research on working with algae, what is possible. And of course, this is all important, and this is the way to go to tomorrow, and to shape the future we want to live in. Because this is not what we can produce any longer. And we cannot bring this stuff to countries around the world. Because one day, maybe, you remember one day the regulation in China was, some years ago, we don't accept more plastic waste from from the world. So the same thing could happen here. What would we do if somebody says in Ghana, in Chile, we don't accept your things, return to sender? So we have also to think about this, and I see a lot of interest in with the next generation. I call it textile mining, because I know it from urban mining, from architecture, from constructing, and I like to really dig deep into these piles of old, outworn clothing, of thrown away clothing, to see what pressures are in there. And in my workshop then, in my master classes, the word waste is forbidden. It's not waste, because if we call it already waste, we who produce it with a lot of effort, energy, creativity, and when we say, okay, this is waste, how can we think that people will say, your user will think of this leftovers as something with value? Yeah? This is something which is really important to bring back also value, because clothing, we have in German the wonderful word Lebensmittel, so things you need for living. Usually we mean in German, we mean food. But also clothing is a means for doing your living, because without clothing we would die, or we would be at least hurt. Of course, think of the first people who cover them, our ancestors, who just wanted to protect their body, their skin, from burning, from sun, or from being freezing. So it's something, I can't repeat it, I have to repeat it ever more. It's something which is necessary for making our survival. And this is a purpose. We are talking a lot about purpose-driven industries. We have innate in our industry is this purpose, because the product is covering this purpose. And so with textile mining, and I have one outfit at my booth, at my stand over there in the back of the hall, we wanted to show, because a lot of people always say, you cannot recycle outdoor gear or sports gear in general. Of course, if you think linear, what we prefer always, but it's not nice to think only linear. You can break very fastly a linear thinking. In this linear thinking, okay, I have here some outdoor gear, and now I want to recycle or upcycle it in another outdoor garment. Of course, this won't work. But on the other hand side, what we did or what the students created, it shows that it's material, it's a resource, and you can work with that and you come to results which are stunning, which are useful, and which are inspiring. And a lot of young guys really are interested in repairing, in reworking and redesigning. It's for them also a possibility to make a difference, to take a different stand and to also individualize. So we should also keep this in mind and support this kind of thinking and really get familiar with what we can do besides shredding and burning with our leftovers. So you see here the 4 outfits which were created, and they are all different, and they are all really creativity, which is non-binary. Of course, yesterday somebody was at my booth, and they looked at the outfit there and the sketches which were done before, and she said, "This is not done digitally." And I said, "No, it was completely analog working." And it's still working, yeah? Because the students never touched a performance fabric or the filling or knew how the garment is constructed. They touched, they cut into, and then they formed. And that was the interesting experience for them, to touch real life things. So, and this is just from my side, an overview of what we need as designers also, and really to make a circular industry working where all the wheels really work together, and that there is no one in the back who's designing, and somewhere there are the decision-making guys and the salespeople and things like that, but we all have to circle around each other. And I tell this from experience, that is not the way. So, is the product relevant? Does it have a positive impact? It means, do we really need it? Does the world need this product? Is this the one and only? And any chance to repair the product? What will be the life cycle? So it's also for designers a challenge. You have to imagine from the beginning, what is the life cycle of this garment? What can I do? How can I design the life cycle of this product? Or how can I imagine this? And it's, again, not only binary, 0 and 1, it's also more than this. And one thing which is really also very important, don't over-engineer. We have to break the norms. We don't need all the standards, because it's just for safety, or for safety for rules which go, if I go to the Mount Everest, of course I need the best equipment possible. But if I go to the Munich pedestrian area, I think this doesn't need so much, I would say so much protection, and I don't need an everyday armor to go to my bakery or something like that. And so, again, I already said this yesterday, I truly believe in the need for creative brains, for creative minds, for designers, for young designers to make their mark. We have to listen to them and to learn, to accept that they might have other visions of the future, also of our future, of the future of the textile and clothing industry. And it's super interesting to exchange and to follow some of these ideas, because it's also the future of us all, and we have to work on. And so it's a little bit messy, yeah? Once again, it's not only binary stuff, it's messy. Sometimes you need messiness to understand what is going on. And this is a circle of also in your thinking. Designers are there to ask critical questions and not only to ask, can we set up a grid to give notes to colors and the durability of colors. Yeah, I have had a lot of talks yesterday about what else can be really digitalized and put into a grid in the design workflow. And I answered one of the guys, "Hey, I am a designer. It's innate to me that I'm against grids. Yeah, I don't want grids. I don't want little boxes. I want a free flow of ideas, of exchange, and of understanding what's going on. And of course, I want empathy, emotion. And we in sports, we really are able to emotionalize people. Look at the events, sports events, look at people who do practice sports. Most of them feel better after they have been practicing art, after they have been out in nature. So this is really a precious thing for us, a precious asset for our industry, that we are able to connect people in an emotional way with our products. And this is just a mood what I did after last year's masterclass, a remote masterclass, and just to show the messiness of ideas, no grid, just asking critically, thinking crazy, going to this. And if you remember the jackets I showed you, and this is then broken down to always the same outdoor jacket, it's really horrible. So what we need, more diversity. We need to address new target groups. We need to bring in really the full spectrum of people, of potential groups. We can potential customers, think of people with some handicaps or who are not able to use their body like the perfect consumer we have in our mind, with a perfect health, with perfect condition, and things like that. There are people who need much more than we are currently offer. And there are new targets group. And human beings are today also not only are human beings and not only moving, living purses, always ready for spending, especially if you don't offer them something which is interesting to them. Yeah, it's really we have to emotionalize our connection with the customer. This is really important. It makes the difference. If you only throw your garments at them or your products and just want their money, and then you make yourself not trustable if you come 2 weeks later and say, "Oh, today it's a super sunshine, I give you a whole stuff for 50% discount, with 50% discount." Hey, what's that? That's not working. So, as for the future, I like this quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry very much. As for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. And this is what we should do, enable the future, not only to today's business. I know the industry has to make business, and of course, we do everything to support business possibility. On the other hand side, if the planet is at risk, we are at risk. We as human beings. So this is the best business we can do if we take care, and then we'll profit in the end from our efforts that we have kept the planet, that we take care, and that we can live and work and do business on this planet. Because a lot of the young guys don't believe, whom I'm talking to, don't believe so much in this vision of going to planet B, C, or Mars. This is not their hope, usually. we hope for that we keep this planet working. So, thank you. This was just from my side. I wanted to talk to you. I've been talking for so many years now, and I'm really deeply interested in this industry. I love what we are doing. As said, we are an industry with a purpose. With a purpose. This is which is really precious, because you can live without smartphone. Though it's hard to believe, but you can live without smartphone. But you can't make a living without clothing. Yeah? And it's not understandable why we have turned into an industry with a product which is not appreciated by people, which has no value, so that they throw it away. And it's not only the fault of the consumers, it's also how our economies have been working over the years. So now we have to take an effort and tell different stories, new stories, better stories, and be creative. So, any questions from your side? Well, you're just flat. I talked to
Nora, can we firstly show our appreciation for Nora, for what she's done? Now, we were just checking the online questions, and there are no online questions, which is classic for Nora. If you feel that you need to go away and have 10 minutes, there was so much information, I was writing notes, and I'm meant to know about this area. But there's a certain synergy about you now concentrating. We've had performance days in the Functional Fabric Fair, been focused on the journey to carbon neutrality.
Yeah.
You've overseen the progress, but it is that now influenced by design as well. It's brilliant to see everyone joining together on the focus,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Now, there are 13 different areas of CSR, if we start to categorize them from water scarcity to water pollution. But as Nora said, carbon is the single most important area, because we're going to break the Paris Agreement, the one that we've all signed up to, that says we're not going to have the temperature increase. If we do not meet the Paris Agreement, we will have severe climate change. Currently, we do not have severe climate change. All the weather problems are minor in comparison to what will be incoming. But Nora's talk will be uploaded. It will take about 10 days. And you can play it back in segments, which is what I normally do. I listen for 5-10 minutes, make some more notes, come back to you. You're happy for people to see you on stand?
Yes, of course.
And also to email you afterwards, because you've left your email address on the board?
Yes, of course. You know, I'm eager, I'm always eager to exchange and to learn from you and your visions and what you are observing. So this is most important. And what I did, just to bring it down once again, I didn't want it to say what you, Charles, just mentioned, that if we break, if we break, I really want to show we cannot live in pessimism and, oh, it's all doom and darkness. That's not possible. And it's not a pleasure. And we see a lot of this missing pleasure today. And so I really want to show you that it's possible. We can change. Hey, guys, we are in sports. We take up such challenges every day. And it's just about us to decide and make the decision, yes, we can, and we want. And this all together, then it's not so hard. Because I think we are a perfect example for an industry which has been really working globally in a large scale, on one of the first industries going around the globe and connecting around the globe. And now we have to work together, and because we cannot cannot point fingers to somebody over there and say, okay, he has to do his part, and there, I'm safe. I'm maybe in Middle Europe. No, it's all of us. And if we can't make it, and if we have this gap. We have gaps in the societies all around the globe. We have problems. And if we, as a relatively small industry, I would love to see us all united by the spirit of sports, that we have really a purpose and that we can. We have so many tools. We have achieved so much. We can do more. So please help saving the planet.
It's what we call the moral leadership. I've got a question from Nikki. I'm just going to come in to get you, Nikki. And we're waiting for other questions.
Nora, thank you again. It is a question to all of us, because I think what you are expressing with so much heartbeat is so important. Don't we feel that we take not enough time to experiences within our colleagues, in the companies? We're always just moving forward to the targets we have, but we do not take time enough to digest this kind of stories. What would you think can we do against that, to create time to do it?
I know you don't like the idea, but shrink your collections is first thing I would say, because this is really, if I know all of us are trapped in timelines, in tight timelines. I know this. And I was working, for example, on this presentation for 5 days, and I was prepared that I have to work the night before, because I couldn't imagine that I can bring it together, because I'm very passionate about this topic. But on the other hand side, I took the time, and on Sunday evening I was super happy because I made it. I had a feeling, okay, this is a message. But it also, for me, I needed time to digest my observations, what I have experienced in talks, what I experienced in a conference, things like that, and the constant exchange with colleagues. So this is important, and I think this is what we always see in daily business, and especially in the way we have set up and structured our businesses, our business structures. Yeah? It's just doing, delivering, and not thinking. And we are living in a time where we have to think, and where we have to really, we have to sit all at a table. Like I mentioned before, it's not that the designers do the work over there, then comes the buyer, and then the decision makers, and then the salespeople, and at the end we maybe even reach the customer. So this is not how it's working. And we see that the world has changed so much. Just look at, once again, the smartphone. If you tell a boy or a girl of 13 years old today, it doesn't know what was this thing with a big wheel on it and some numbers. What is that? Nobody can imagine what this has been. Yeah? So within 10 years, we were able, or 12 years, to make this thing completely forgotten. So let's focus on this really big task. In comparison, for example, clothing will never die like the old-fashioned telephone. Yeah? Because we need clothing, and this is a treasure. This is really a treasure. And so I think we have to make aware that clothing is really, as I said, it's an essential need of people. And this is a treasure for us, a business reason, a purpose, and we have to do it in the best way possible to continue making business with that in the future. But it has to be different. And I think we have so many creative minds, brilliant researchers, brilliant developers, really brilliant people, and a very good spirit I always feel here. So, hey, let's stir more emotion and not so much the binary codes. Yeah? It's more about this emotional and moral feeling we have to do something. Okay?
Those of you who caught Anna's presentation this morning, and also the one from Katie of the EOG yesterday about supply chain carbonisation, what Nora's done is actually link conclusions of both within your presentation. But I'm still waiting for questions. If there are no further questions, can I ask us all to show our appreciation for Nora again?
Thanks for clapping. Thanks again. Okay, and you are most welcome at my booth in the back of the hall.
We're going to take a 15-minute break. We're coming back 15 minutes time with 3M, one of those big companies that has actually been doing things, and we're refocused sustainability in the textile industry. Take a comfort break, 15 minutes time. Totti's here. We're talking sustainability in textiles.